Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Green. I'm the branch manager for the Western Sydney office of People to People, and I'm delighted to be able to kick off our talent webinar series for 2023. So today we will be discussing how to take your next step in your career. So I'm joined by some of the members of the team here in Western Sydney. So I'd like to introduce you to Peter Altamore, who is our senior consultant within our supply chain space. And Peter today will be talking to you about what job seekers are doing in the market at the moment and some of the challenges they are facing. We will then move on to my colleague Marissa Verudo, who is a consultant within our business support team and works in the permanent space. And Marissa's going to talk to you about how to overcome those challenges that job seekers are facing in 2023. And then we will move on to Shauna Bryant, who is works in our sales and marketing space. And Shauna works in the permanent space. And Shauna's going to talk to you about how to take that next step with your career in 2023 and particularly within Western Sydney as well. I'm going to start by giving a sort of general market update as to what's happening in Western Sydney, and we'll finish. So we'll go for probably about an hour, but we will finish with an interactive Q&A session. So I would ask anybody on the webinar today, if you've got any questions at all, pop them in the comment section, and myself and the team will be happy to answer those at the end of the session today. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge the Darug people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to the elders past and present. My name's Mark Green. I'm the branch manager, and as I said, I'm going to talk to you about I'll give you a market update of what's happening in Western Sydney. So, Jacob, if we can move to the first slide, please. Perfect. Okay. So looking at the first slide, I just wanted to sort of briefly touch on what's happening in terms of job movement in Western Sydney. So what we've seen in the first quarter of 2023, we've seen a strong move in terms of job adverts. Increased by 2%. Unemployment for Western Sydney is currently at 3.9%. Against 3.1% for New South Wales. New South Wales happens to be the lowest in the country. So what that shows us, particularly for Western Sydney, is that candidates need to be more competitive and to be able to stand out. And that's one of the things we're going to touch on today to give you some advice on how to be able to do that. And as I say, make that next step in your career as well. So if we can move to slide 2, I just want to talk a little bit more about Western Sydney as a region. So Western Sydney is a great place to be. There's a lot happening and a lot of opportunities as well. So there's been a major focus on infrastructure projects in Western Sydney. The construction of the Western Sydney Airport has and is expected to drive economic growth and create job opportunities in the region. I was looking at some figures the other day where they talk about in the range of 9,000 extra jobs will be created to support construction and ongoing projects. So we've seen that the Western Sydney Airport has started, and even in the news today, they've started to show what the flight paths will be. We've seen projects like the West Connect and the Parramatta Light Rail, again, that will create more jobs and will be there to improve transport and the connection for Western Sydney to the rest of New South Wales and to Australia as a whole. Western Sydney as a region has also seen a lot of significant growth in terms of population. The figures say that there's going to be about 1 million additional residents in the next decade. So by 2030, the region will account for 44% of Sydney residents, and that will be around about 9% of Australia's population. So it's going to lead to increased demand for jobs and services in the region as well. Western Sydney has always had a strong presence for manufacturing and industrial, so particularly in areas such as Parramatta, Penrith and Blacktown. We've seen a lot of growth in industries such as automotive, aerospace, and advanced manufacturing. So again, offering lots of employment opportunities for engineers, technicians, production workers, and logistics personnel as well. And we've certainly seen that in the Western Sydney market in the last few years. Professional services as well. We've seen a big move for Western Sydney has become a more attractive location for professional services. So for accountants, lawyers, consultants, and administrators as well. So we've seen a lot of movement. There's anybody that's in Parramatta can see that the development of Parramatta Square and the influx of businesses to that as well. So what that means for Western Sydney is that we've become a lot more diverse in terms of our economic sectors. Again, figures say that we'll deliver around about 100 billion to the economy, and will represent 8% of the country's gross domestic product. That is actually predicted to be larger. We'll have a larger gross domestic product than 65 of the countries in the world. There's a lot happening in health as well. So several hospitals and educational institutions are located in the Western Sydney area, which all goes to creating more job opportunities as well. So really, Western Sydney, there's a lot happening, a lot of opportunities, and there will be continued opportunities as well. So it's a good, strong forecast for Western Sydney. So that just gives you a little bit of a snapshot in terms of what's happening. What I'd like to do now is I'd actually like to introduce you to my colleague, as I said, Peter Altamore. So Peter is our senior consultant in the temp and contract space for supply chain. I'm going to pass you over to him. But before I do, if you want to get in touch with me, my details are below. I'm the branch manager and happy to talk to you about anything in terms of any questions you have as well, or if you're looking for work, more than happy to take a call from you. But let's move over to Peter.
Thanks, Mark, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to our webinar today. So it's safe to say that this year has been a unique one for the job market. There have been quite a few changes to vacancies and salaries within the last 12 months. So today, I'm going to be going through what we found to be the main elements that candidates are looking for in their jobs and present some of the common challenges in navigating the market. So as a candidate, it is beneficial to know how other people are seeing things and can potentially start the conversation about where you can see your career going in the next few years and what you truly want. So first, I wanted to start off with why we are seeing more employees changing jobs. So in February of this year, the ABS found that there was actually an increase in job mobility compared to back in 2021. This was actually at a historic low of 7.5%. This has actually increased to around 9.5%, the highest it's actually been since 2012. So on the screen, as you can see from the charts, the main factor that we had found was actually due to a lack of career opportunities. This was also a significant increase compared to 2022, and it shows that many of you watching today may be looking for a job where, yes, it could be challenging, but at the same time rewarding in the long run with some increased opportunities. Throughout our findings, we discovered 66% of people would stay longer in their company if it was easier to change jobs internally. And this makes sense. A rewarding job can stem from being able to continuously learn and grow, and employees would rather make a lateral move compared to a vertical one that may offer fewer learning and growth opportunities. And from this, we can see on the right-hand side, so some companies are following suit with an increase in additional training and development models compared to previous years. So now let's talk about employee benefits. So in line with what I had just mentioned, increases in career development training is topping the list for most wanted. Now, it's why most people are leaving jobs. It's why companies are investing more money and time into it. And it shows they're investing in you, the candidates, which we all know can be a company's best asset. Whether you may want to climb the corporate ladder or you want to be more challenged and engaged with the work you're doing, this is such an important benefit to any healthy job. On top of this, you can see on the screen as well, flexibility in hours and working location and bonuses are still in the top 5 most wanted. We've seen this in previous years too. So as we reflect on the past couple of years, we can observe significant shifts in what candidates prioritize when considering job opportunities and what matters most to candidates. So let's take a closer look at the changes in percentages and identify some emerging trends that have surfaced in the job market from 2021 to 2023. So, Jacob, if you could switch the slides, please. Thank you. In 2021, so you can see on the graphs here, candidates placed importance on various factors, including company culture at 71%, work-life balance, flexible working, leadership styles, and salary and bonuses. Moving forward to 2022, though, we noticed quite a different shift in candidate preferences. So coming out from the pandemic, mental health became even more important, rising to 44%, and highlighted the increasing recognition of significance of well-being within the workplace. We can see company culture and work-life balance continue to be highly valued too. And leading back into the first point I was talking about before, the additional factors that gained some prominence in 2022 included job security, training and development, career opportunities, and having a challenging job. So now let's turn our attention to the current year, 2023, and uncover some trends in what job seekers like you all are seeking. So quality of management remains the top of the mind of employers in 2023, and this currently sits at 69%. In the hybrid world of work, support and trust from management remains the most effective way to make employees like you feel valued. In the past 2 years, however, diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with mental health, have experienced a remarkable increase of around 30%. So candidates really understand the importance of a supportive and nurturing work environment that prioritize their well-beings. And you all, you're actively seeking organizations that prioritize creating inclusive and diverse environments. And this really underlines the significance of comprehensive support for everyone's well-being. The shift in this demonstrates the evolving values and expectations within the workplace, and it should not go unnoticed. We have, however, observed a slight decrease in the emphasis on company culture, flexible working, and work-life balance. Now, these elements are still so essential for candidates to feel valued and motivated in their roles, and hence why their numbers are still so high. They're crucial factors that contribute to the overall job satisfaction, and while they still are significant, despite the slight decrease, we're seeing that candidates are placing greater importance on other aspects of their professional lives. A noteworthy addition to this list of priorities is the desire for work that has purpose and a positive impact on the world. So referred to on the graph in 2023 as my work has purpose, this new factor has emerged as a significant consideration for 62%. Like most of us, we would seek opportunities where we can contribute meaningfully and make a difference. And in turn, this can lead to overall job satisfaction too. Remember, understanding what is currently happening in the market and understanding these shifts while aligning your career aspirations with organizations that can prioritize your values can help you take that next step in your career. Now, the final point I would like to talk about today are the 4 most common challenges that job seekers are currently facing. So firstly, let's address the ever-present challenge of competition in the market. So in 2023, job seekers face a highly competitive landscape due to various factors such as technological advancements, globalization, and the volume of different job advertisements that are out there at the moment. The online job portal currently and the ability to apply for positions with just a few clicks have made it so much easier for candidates to submit their applications. This convenience, though, however, it's also led to an influx of applicants for each position available, and the sheer volume of candidates competing for the same job can make it challenging for individuals to stand out and capture the attention of employers or recruiters. Now, moving on, we come to the second challenge, which is interview preparation and processes. So interviews have always been a critical role of the job seeking journey, and in 2023, they still continue to play that significant role. However, the interview landscape has evolved considerably compared to previous years, and now as a candidate, you may encounter various new interview formats, including maybe video calls, panel interviews, and even AI-driven assessments too. Navigating these different formats and preparing effectively can be daunting, and the pressure to articulate your skills and experiences and potential in a really limited time frame can add to that stress and anxiety experienced by job seekers. The third challenge revolves around being new to the market or attempting to transition into a different industry. So employers often prioritize candidates with relevant experience, making it difficult for newcomers or even those seeking to switch industries to find the right position. Lack of familiarity with the job market or specific industry norms can hinder your progress. So you may find or you may struggle to find opportunities that would really align with your goals and aspirations compared to the company that you're going for. Now, finally, let's discuss the challenge of networking and career opportunities. So networking has long been recognized as a vital aspect of professional success. However, in 2023, the importance of building connections and seeking out growth opportunities has become even more pronounced. Job seekers often face the challenge of finding meaningful networking opportunities and leveraging them effectively. Additionally, with evolving industries and changing job market dynamics, identifying avenues for career growth and progression can be demanding. So to wrap things up, the job market at the moment has undergone significant changes in the past few years, and it's really crucial for you all here today to understand the evolving landscape and adapt to the shifting priorities. We've seen a growing emphasis on factors like career development, mental health, diversity, inclusion, and purpose-driven work. And as you all navigate your career path, remember to align your aspirations with organizations that prioritize your values, that offers opportunities for growth. Try to stay aware of the current trends and understand that the challenges you face, such as competition, interview processes, transition injuries, and networking. So that sums up my part for today. So thank you for your attention. I hope that this first part of the webinar has provided you with valuable information to enhance your career journey. If you would like to get in contact with me, my details are on the screen below. Be more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. That's really interesting, and particularly of the change we've seen in purpose-driven work. Thank you. Just to remind everybody, if anyone's got any questions, I see we've got a few questions coming through on the comments, but throughout the webinar, if you've got any questions, remember just to pop them in there, and we'll try and answer them at the end. Thank you, Peter. I'd like now to move on to introduce Marissa Verudo, who is a business support consultant. And Marissa's going to move on and talk to you about how to overcome some of those challenges that Peter's touched on just now. So over to you, Marissa.
Hi, and thanks, Mark. As Mark mentioned, my name's Marissa and I'm the Permanent Business Support Consultant in Western Sydney. Today, I want to talk in more detail about the most common challenges that job seekers are experiencing in this market and then provide tips on how to best overcome those challenges. So competition in the current job market, interview preparation and processes, entering into new markets and changing industries, and finally, networking and building your future career are the main challenges that we'll be covering today. So moving on to slide 2, Jacob, we're looking at competition in the market and how to set yourself apart. Now, as Mark mentioned earlier, the Western Sydney region has reported a slightly higher unemployment rate in comparison to New South Wales as a whole, which means that there are more people in the job market to compete with. Therefore, the first common challenge we're going to be looking at is competition, and I've jotted down 2 potential game changers to set yourself apart. People to people work with many candidates on a day-to-day basis, and the advice that I give to the candidates that I speak to when they're applying for roles center around the direct information and the in-depth detail that you about how you portray yourselves in the market, and that starts with how you display your experience in your CV. Your CV is a critical tool, and it's really the first connection between you and your future employer. So ensuring that the layout, the information, and the smaller details that you may not find to be so important, such as the font type or even the size on the details on your CV, can make all the difference. The importance lies in the information provided and how it best relates to the industry or the role type that you're trying to target. So here are some quick tips on the layout. So ensure your jobs are listed in reverse chronological order. So that means you'll list your latest role first and work your way down from there. Secondly, unless the company you've worked for is a well-known brand, providing a short summary of what the company does will set you apart from candidates who may not have as much detail on your CV or on their CVs. Outside of that, though, I would always recommend it to provide just a short 1 to 2 line detail or description of who you've worked for, as it looks more professional on your CV as well. Lastly, you should provide information on each of your roles. Display the title, the time that you've been in the position, the responsibilities, and most importantly, the achievements in that particular position. Outside of your CV, there is also other factors of having to, there is the other factor of having to understand yourself as a job seeker. What are your motivators? What is really important to you? What is going to drive you to choose a role, commit to it, and then strive for success? Understanding these points about yourself is going to be the differing factor between you and other candidates who may not know what they're looking for. So going into the market with clear boundaries about your base requirements, like what location you want to travel to for work, what sort of company you want to be associated with, what's your salary expectations, and the most important topic at the moment, flexibility. This will ensure you choose the right role for you. It is more difficult to enter into the job market and not having a clear idea of what you're willing to accept. This runs the risk of wasting time on opportunities that may not be the best fit. So self-reflection prior to entering the market is key. So moving on to the next slide on interview preparation and process. So pre and post interview. What's interesting is when typing in the words preparing for in Google, preparing for an interview is the most searched phrase. So it can be the stage of the process that challenges job seekers the most, and it encourages nerves and doesn't allow you to be your most confident self during those meetings. So in order to overcome the challenge of meeting with a future employer, whether it be in person or virtual, I encourage you to put as much preparation into it as you can, and also ensure that you follow up with your interviewer or the recruitment consultant that you might be working with to get your post-interview feedback. As mentioned before, Western Sydney has more job seekers in the market in comparison to other areas in New South Wales, which means having a point of reference that you found whilst researching recent news on the business that you're interviewing with can just be one way that you set yourself apart from the rest. This can all be summed up nicely by the 3 C's, so confidence, communication, and common sense. Within the interview process, there is a fine line between confidence and overconfidence. So be sure to understand both of them really well. As a job seeker, preparing for the interview by researching the business, understanding the job description, and preparing answers for commonly asked questions. So for example, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Being able to almost pre-prepare for those questions will assist with your confidence in the process. Secondly, communication is really important, especially as you relay your experience to the interviewer. So providing examples for the questions that you're asked, that is the key to ensure you're able to display and you're able to communicate your experience properly. But really what you want to make sure you do is practice a lot. The last C covers common sense, and that simply means how you practice practicality and your sound judgment. Make sure when you're asked about certain situations or projects, you respond in a clear, detailed, but concise manner that explains how practical you are. So on to the next slide, we're looking at new to the market or changing industries. So the last challenge I wanted to, the challenge I wanted to touch on now is entering into the job market or into a new industry. So for job seekers who are entering into the market, this time can be really daunting. Being new to the market can be a challenge as there may be an expectation or skills gap. This can also cover job seekers at all levels, which could be recent school leavers, university graduates, all the way to seasoned professionals who are ready to take a sidestep into a new career. There are a few ways you can overcome these challenges. So firstly, research is key. Knowing the industry or career that you'd like to enter into is where it all begins. This covers everything from biggest companies in the biggest companies in the field that you're looking to enter into, what skills the employers in that field are mostly looking for, identify those transferable skills, and highlight any relevant qualifications. Also, tailoring your CV to your target industry, and if possible, consider entry-level positions to gain experience. That can get you the foot in the door that you need. You could also consider volunteering positions to get the right experience on your CV, and this will only assist you with more or better options down the line. The last thing I wanted to touch on is networking and career growth opportunities. Build your network and online presence in the field, or building your network and online presence in the field can assist in building connections. Expanding your network will let you see new sides of the industry that you haven't been exposed to before. Connecting with people from inside and outside the industry can assist in gaining a broader view. So this can be a challenge, especially for candidates who may not be inclined to virtual connections. There are free tools online on how to begin using professional social media sites like LinkedIn and how you can build your personal brand. This will also assist with your career development opportunities as well. So just to sum up, the challenges that we've looked at are competition, interview preparation, entering into new markets or changing industries, and also your networking and building your future career. So there are so many ways that you can combat that, especially when it comes to researching into new markets, ensuring that your CV is prepared going into future interviews or going into new careers as well, and just making sure that you put as much detail as you can to ensure that you get the right opportunity for you. So that's what I have to give in terms of information this afternoon. If you would like to get in touch with me today, my details will show up on the screen soon. But I hope that this information was relevant. And if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me on the details below. Thanks.
Thanks, Marissa. And interesting, preparation is key for an interview, and interesting to see that comes up on the search engine. Some really good tips there. Thanks, Marissa. I'd like to move on now to Shana. So Shana Bryan is a consultant in our sales and marketing space. So Shana's going to talk to you today about how you take that next step in your career. So she's got some very good points to cover off on there. So I'd like to introduce Shana to you now.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks everyone for joining us. As Mark mentioned, I'll be going over strategies for effective career growth and the increasingly vital skill of networking, which Marissa touched on, but I'll be breaking down a little further. So crafting a career isn't something that's done overnight, and developing strategies for effective job searching and networking is the key to achieving the best outcomes for you. So there are many reasons people start looking for a new role. You might decide it's time to move for career growth or a salary increase, or market and commercial trends could dictate the timing. In any instance, as Marissa mentioned, being prepared is the key to making the right decision for your career. And the most effective way to start a job search is before you begin. So I'm going to detail 3 key areas in which you will want to lay the groundwork early in the process. So the first is personal reflection. It's important to self-evaluate and understand your own unique proposition. So what do I bring to the table? What do I want to achieve in my career? What are my values? Thinking broadly about what's important to you, but also about what you offer. So do some soul searching and uncover what your purpose is. You want to know what motivates you, what drives your passion for work, what are your areas of strength, what are the areas you're most interested in growing in. So having a clear picture of these will help you define what you're looking for and your position in the market. You'll get a better understanding of yourself, your values, and your goals. And once you have these at the forefront of your mind, it will fuel and directly translate to a successful networking connection or a successful interview. And then hopefully a wonderful job. So learning. Once Once you understand your unique proposition and your goals, you can look at areas for growth and begin adding value by learning and adding skills to your toolkit. So you can do this while you're in your current role. This might mean studying. This might mean actively engaging with the people around you that already have the knowledge or skills you wish to attain. This might mean actively seeking to grow your network to bring people with those skills further into your sphere. So knowing what you want and what you need to achieve is key to your success. So now let's talk about networking. I know, again, Marissa touched on this in good detail, but networking is such an important tool for career progression. Well over 70% of roles are secured by personal or professional connections. So anyone from a friend or a colleague to a recruiter on LinkedIn. But not everyone knows how to network effectively. And on top of that, networking can be a loaded term for some people. So if you find the idea of networking painful, you're not alone. Some fear being judged or seen as unworthy. Others equate networking with asking for special favors. Many worry that they're just not good at networking and avoid it altogether. But given the potential payoffs, I'd advise finding a way to reframe your thinking. So networking isn't the same as making a sales pitch. Effective networking involves building an equal and balanced relationship with give and take on both sides. So if you've ever had a friend, you know how to network. So start with who you know and build from there. You don't need a handful of business cards or even a LinkedIn account to begin building your network. Your colleagues, your friends, and even the people you meet at the shop are part of your network. Still, it's important to recognize that a network populated exclusively with friends and family may have limited use. On LinkedIn in particular, you're more likely to land a new job through someone you have weak ties with than someone you know better. And that's because the people you know may very well have social networks that very closely resemble your own, which may not add much value in the job-seeking market for you. So your casual acquaintances, on the other hand, they have social networks that overlap with yours and may provide connections or information that you would otherwise not be able to access. So focus on learning when you're networking. If you adopt a promotion mindset and concentrate on the potential positives of networking, you're more likely to perceive the activity as an opportunity for discovery than a chore. And that thinking is really vital into engaging properly in a networking sense. So identify common interests. By doing this, your networking will feel more authentic to both you and the people you meet. Think broadly about what you can give. So you have something valuable to offer, whether it's knowledge, gratitude, or recognition. Remember that and lead from that in a networking sense. So find a higher purpose. When you frame networking in terms of a larger goal, say the collective benefits of your company, it will feel more authentic and will lead to connections that bear better fruit for everyone. Be interested, not just interesting. So when meeting new people, try to avoid the common mistake of monopolizing the conversation. Gathering knowledge about people, careers, and jobs is a worthwhile networking goal on its own. So ask insightful questions and then listen to the answers. It seems simple, but active listening is a skill unto itself and is the most effective way to build a professional and personal relationship. So be a giver. Keep in mind that in a true network, the information flow has to go both ways. So receiving a business opportunity referrals is predicated on you having freely helped at an earlier point in the relationship. So that might just be answering a question or sharing your time. It might even be boosting someone else's post on LinkedIn. So be open and willing to say yes when someone else needs a favor. So while we're talking about LinkedIn, let's get into a few more specifics on how to network on that platform. It really is key to building a professional career. So uncover the hidden job market via LinkedIn. Change your profile to open to work so that recruiters and hiring managers know that you're approachable. Ensure that you catch recruiters' attention by creating a more compelling headline on the top of your profile. So customize your headline to spell out the type of roles you're looking for, like supply chain and procurement leader, global product development, SEO specialist. Whatever it is that you're looking for, put it front and center so it catches our eye. So in the LinkedIn About section, it needs to tell your story. So include the info there that you'd use in a cover letter or how you'd answer the question if asked, tell me about yourself. and write it in first person, which means you use I throughout that section. It's really vital. It's in first person, so it seems like a conversation between you and the person reading that about section. So beneath each company you've worked for, as Marissa mentioned in the resume, you want to add a brief description of what that company does. So that means that recruiters and hiring managers can get a clear picture of your history without having to research it, which will result in a faster yes and will help you stand out. So don't forget to add your results to your LinkedIn work experience section. So list your accomplishments and take credit where credit is due. Be specific on how the employer benefited. Did you save time or money? Did you create something new? Don't just list the job title, employer, and dates of employment. Get down into some details. So connections are obviously key on LinkedIn. Ensure you're connected to all former managers, colleagues, vendors, customers, friends, clients. They're all vital resources of insider information and knowledge about job opportunities. And stay active on LinkedIn. So make it a habit to scroll through the app at select times during your workday. So this will not only help you respond to recruiters or hiring managers in a timely manner when they reach out to you with a job opportunity, but it will also keep you informed on the market. And if you've built your LinkedIn network effectively and broadly, you might see in the news feed when a connection of yours has started a new role in a company that you've always wanted to work for, or you might see when a dream role has just opened up by a goodbye post. So stay active and present and follow the trends. Obviously, don't let it take too much time out of your day, but just try to touch on there at least once a day. So have a conversation with someone from your network. Now, this is really important. Reconnect with anyone you know who can help you. Make a list of potential people to call or message and try to stay in the habit of having at least one conversation with someone from your network each week so that when that time comes, you have them there as a touch point. So line up your references. Always make sure when you leave or a boss or colleague leaves the business, make sure to get their contact info and connect with them on LinkedIn. So to get a new role, you'll obviously need 2 to 3 references, but you might not have talked to them in a while. So if you've got them there on LinkedIn, you can always get their updated contact info, which will help you get a faster reference. So another way to go is to join professional organizations. So these are people in your industry or the industry that you aspire to. They can help you advance your career. In addition, join social networks, obviously outside of LinkedIn. They don't always add immediate value, but they'll help keep you up to date on what your friends and colleagues are doing. And always remember to keep these interactions positive and professional. So setting clear goals and effective networking can take time to bear fruit, but with patience, it can help you build a satisfying and rewarding career. So my advice in short is to define what you want, what you bring to the table, and begin building a solid network around yourself to enhance your career. Thanks for your time today, everyone. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can reach out on the details below or on the next screen.
Thanks, Shana. Some great advice there again as well. So we've that concludes the presentation. We've had a few questions, so I'd just like to go to those and answer those for you. And I might get my colleagues to help with some of those as well. So let's just have a look. So we have a question from Simon D. Why would the unemployment rate for Western Sydney be higher than New South Wales in general? The reason for that is around the population growth. So as we said, there's more people in the Western Sydney region, and if you look at New South Wales in general, there are certain areas where there's not as many active job seekers. If you look at places like the Northern Beaches or other areas, the amount of the population that are actively looking for work is less. So that would be why the overall percentage for Western Sydney is higher than the New South Wales average. And then we've had another question from Sunja. Would you say that sometimes flexibility is preferred over a pay increase in 2023? I might get one of my colleagues to answer
I'm happy
that
to take that on. Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks, Peter.
Well, yeah, look, I would say in many cases, yeah, flexibility can definitely be preferred over a pay increase. While a pay increase, it's often seen probably as a desired outcome. There are various situations where having flexibility in someone's work arrangements can actually provide significant advantages and even potentially outweigh the benefits of a higher salary. And some that come to mind would be better work-life balance. Obviously, flexibility would allow for individuals to better balance your personal and your professional life. It offers maybe remote work opportunities as well. So throughout the COVID pandemic, we were all working from home, or majority of us were working from home. And outside of the pandemic now, the flexibility in terms of remote work, it can provide greater convenience for employees as well. Another point could be maybe personal development. So obviously flexible work arrangements, it can facilitate personal growth. So it could allow for individuals to maybe pursue different opportunities or additional opportunities, whether that be maybe education or furthering your education, your training, maybe getting a certificate for something that you're working in, and that in turn can enhance your long-term career prospects. And I think with flexibility comes increased job satisfaction as well. So yeah, having that flexibility in how or when work can be performed definitely yeah, provides a sense of autonomy and maybe yeah, leads to greater engagement in your job.
Cool. Thank you, Peter. We have a question from Nick H. What is the demographic, the age profile split with the survey in terms of what matters most to job seekers?
Yep. I can take that one as
yep.
well. Yeah,
Perfect.
that's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the age would be from 18 to 65. So that's the age there where we had surveyed our candidates within the market, and that's where the age of most current organizations currently sit anyway. So yes.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. And then we've got a question from Ben H. So going back to the part about interview preparation, was unfortunately laid off during COVID. Had an interview earlier this year where it felt it was looked down upon that he'd been laid off. Should Ben include should he mention in his CV that gap in employment?
I'll take that one, if that's okay.
Thanks,
seeming
Marissa.
as I talk, no, that's all right. So seeming as I talked about the importance of the detail that you provide on your CV, there have been a lot of candidates that we've spoken to that have experienced the same situation, which is unfortunate. What we always encourage is being genuine and being honest. So I think that you should definitely keep the gap on your CV, but it's going to come down to how you explain it during your interview. As with every candidate, the person who's interviewing you will ask you why you've left certain opportunities and ask you for a reason for leaving. It's going to be the same with professional gaps on your CV, even those gaps where you might have a month or 3 months, even longer. And during COVID, that was probably one of the biggest things that we noticed. But we also understood that time during the pandemic, from what I understand, we'd never seen it before. So there were a lot of concessions made, and there's a lot of understanding behind that. So it's going to be about the way that you explain it, Ben. It is common though. So how I would explain it is, during that time, there were a lot of redundancies happening around. I was unfortunately let go from work, and I did X, Y, Z to try and get back into the market. So if you were actively trying to get into a new role, you can say that this is what I was doing. A lot of people also took the gap after they were made redundant during COVID to take study breaks, try and get other qualifications, free qualifications. TAFE were offering free courses during that time as well. So, there is always an explanation. And I think as long as you go into your interview genuine and honest, it'll come off that way. So I would definitely keep the gap on there for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks, Marissa. And I would, as we would all agree, honesty is always the best policy. So as recruiters, we always question if there's a gap. So it's always best to add that in there. We have a question from Wayne. Do we have the statistics broken down by age? I think we've covered that. Wayne, what I would say, I think obviously you've been experiencing a little difficulty finding work. What I would say is reach out to myself or the team, and we'll be happy to have a conversation and see how we can assist you with work. So please, Wayne, do get in contact with us. And then we've had a question from CND. Experience also comes up a lot. I know, and my networks know that I'm pitted against more experienced applicants. How do I best navigate that? So what he's asking is, how does he navigate getting a job against people that have a little bit more experience than himself?
Well, look, I'll take this one if you like, guys. But I think the important, yes, experience is very important, of course. You need to have the skills required for the job. So as long as you have the requisite skill set, if there's someone who's been in that position for a couple of extra years to you, or in a slightly more senior position with that skill set, the best way is to think about culture fit. Why do you want to work for that company? What about that company rings true and like a good decision for you? If you really understand that when you're in an interview, or maybe when you're speaking to a recruiter about that role, if you put that across, that enthusiasm and passion for the role can put you above another candidate that has more experience. Culture fit, a desire to work somewhere, and an excitement about a position is sometimes more important than experience. So just, again, know what you want out of it, know why you want to work there, and figure out a way to put that across. And I think it could give you a leg up.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Shona. And just checking, I think we've answered the questions on there. If anybody's got any other questions.
I think Nick had one just about the data. So the data isn't segmented just in terms of age. It's just the overall snapshot of the market. So look, we in the survey surround a couple thousand different candidates. So I don't think that it would be skewed, because we have candidates from all ages that we do survey. So hope that answers your question.
Okay, thanks for that, Peter. I think that's all the questions. So I think we're pretty much close on time. What I would say is thank you, everybody, for joining the webinar today. If you've got any other questions, or you want to get in contact with any of us, our details on here, we would love to hear from you. And we'd just like to thank you for your time today.